to another video by Roscoe Productions. In this video I'm going to be looking at my new motow motocross carrier. So with this rack I'm going to show you how to assemble it, and then we're going to try it on the car and you're going to see me put my RMZ 450 onto the rack. Let's get started. Now with the box open, you can see straight on top we've got our instructions and parts list. So what I'm going to do is unbox everything just on the floor, go through the parts list and just check that everything's there. So now I've unboxed all of the components we need for our motorcycle carrier, and I'm just going to check them against our list. So this is the instructions and part list we received with the package. I'm just going to talk you through each of the components. So down here you have the two support brackets. This is your loading ramp, and if you notice on the side it actually says the duty there, which is 400 pounds, which is 181 kilos. This is your main central hitch bar, so that's the portion that actually goes into your Hayman Reese tow bar. This is your front support or front tie down bar. This is your front wheel chock, and then this is obviously the main carrier ramp, which again has the duty just down this end there at 400 pounds or 181 kilos. Now I'll also just talk to you about the bolts and everything that we're going to need. There is a few bits here that come extra that aren't on the list, so I'll talk you through those and what they're for as well. Okay, so I've just laid out all the nuts and bolts here and just check them against your instructions and components list here. And as I said just a moment ago, there are a few components like these tie-down hoops that aren't actually on the list. So those are obviously for our front tie-down bar, and they come with their nuts as well. This large washer wasn't on the list. That goes with your tow hitch bolt there. Now these longer ones actually wasn't detailed on the list, but they are part of the wheel chock and there is a picture of them as well. And then this is part of your Hayman Reese support system, so that actually goes on after just to support onto the car. So luckily we don't need many tools to actually assemble the rack, so I'm just going to talk you through what you're going to need. So we're going to have a 10mm, 13mm and 17mm socket with obviously a ratchet. And we may need an extension bar as well, so just have them to hand. We're also then going to need the opposing spanners for the back nut. So we've got a 10mm, 13mm and 17mm. And then when we come to actually put the rack on the car, we're going to need the Allen key that's actually provided in the set. Step one is to put the support brackets either side of these tabs here on the main hitch bar. So we're just going to line that up. Get the 20mm clutch bolts from earlier. Just going to go ahead and start putting those through. Just do them up finger tight at first. Once you have that all lined up, I'm just going to go ahead, use the ratchet and tighten them up. Now go ahead and repeat the process for the other side. Step one complete. So before you proceed to step two, we're going to make sure we get our rack onto the mount in the right direction. Now, it's a one direction rack, and what that means is there's a curve here which the ramp fits over, and that's the back. And then we've got these four bolts here which the wheel chock's going to fit on, and that is the front. So with that in mind, if you look at where the tow hitch is, then that's obviously the back of the car, and then we're going to have the stickers facing out away from the car. So we're going to actually put it in here. Now what I would say is you could modify the rack and have it on the different direction if you prefer the bike on the other side of you when loading. However, please note there's already some pre-drilled holes for how the ramp actually fits onto the rack, so you'll also have to modify those. So I'm just going to go ahead and put it on exactly as it's designed, which is on this way around. Then we're going to go ahead and put our four bolts into these four holes here. For this we're going to be using the 40mm M6s, a large washer to go on the inside on the aluminium section, then obviously the nylon nut. So just go ahead, do it up by hand first, and then we'll go and tighten them up afterwards. your 13mm socket and spanner, and we're now going to go ahead and do them up. So step 3, we're simply going to be putting our 2 tie-down hoops onto our front tie-down bar. So just remove the nut from the back like so. Again, like we've been doing, just do it up by finger first. With these, you're going to want them in line with the tie-down bar like so. Go ahead and get your 17mm socket. This is where I'm going to use an extension. We're just going to go ahead and do it up. Making sure you hold it nice and tight, nice and straight. There you go. Repeat for the other side. There we go. In step 4, we're going to be fitting our front wheel chock and also the tie down bar. Notice there's 4 bolts here, or 4 holes for bolts here, and we're just going to go ahead and do the front ones first. So go ahead, get your long bolts from earlier. We're going to go ahead and put our washers on. And then I'm just going to start with one, just doing it up finger tight as well. Pass that through. And just start to do that up by hand. Repeat for the other side. And we're going to start to pass the back ones through, obviously with our washers on, and then we'll have to line it up with our front tie-down bar. Okay, with the bolts now passing through the bottom, we're just going to get our tie-down bar. We're going to start to line them up. Just drop that on. I'm just going to get my hand underneath and start trying to do that up, and then we'll actually rock it over and tighten it up with it on its side. There you go, that's one done. Let me reposition the camera and we'll tighten them up. So you'll see I'm just standing with it between my legs, resting on the 2 ends there, they're the same length. We're just going to go ahead and start to do up these bolts here. Which brings us on to our final step of the assembly of the rack, which is step 5. And what you'll notice on the ramp, it has a couple of holes in the side, and so does the actual frame here. So we're just going to get our long skinny bolts, we're going to pass them through, and just we're going to do up the 10mm nut first off like so. Do that on both sides. Get your 10mm socket and spanner. Doesn't need to be up too tight. So those become permanent with the rack, and then we can just grab our ramp, slide it onto the excess bolt like so. Get both our wing nuts on there. And that secures the ramp. Okay guys, so that's our rack fully built, put together. Just go over, check all of your nuts and bolts are nice and tight. Obviously not tight enough that you're going to crush the aluminium. We've got a few bits to fit whilst we actually fit on the car. So this is actually a stabiliser that goes around the hanging grease there. So this goes on the inside of the motow, and then the 3 bolts actually go onto the car. So we'll show you how that fits just in a second, which is what your Allen key is for. Then obviously that is your bolt, but you may want to use your hanging grease one if you've got more confidence in that. Just to show you how light the rack is, it's nice and light. You can lift it with 1 person, and you can carry it with 1 person, and also put it on the car with 1 person. Let's go out to the car. So now for the fun bit, we're actually going to mount the rack onto the car. I'll show you how to do that, and then I'm going to test fit my RMZ 450 onto the rack. I'll do it all by myself to show that you can do this as a one-man job. The only tools we're going to need for this are a 24mm socket, an adjustable spanner in case we can't get the socket in there, our Allen key for the stabiliser, so I showed you that earlier. Now you've got 2 options. You can either use the bolt that they've provided, or I'm actually going to go ahead and use the Heyman Reese one that come with the car with the Heyman Reese fitting. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put my stabiliser on. So make sure that all of your Allen keys are slightly down, and just so that we can tighten them when it's on the car. Lift it up, slide that all the way on. What we'll do is we'll reposition that when it's actually on the car. Now using 2 hands, lift up the rack and line it up with the car. And you're sliding it in till this hole matches up with that hole. Now I'm going to go ahead, get my Heyman Reese bolt, just take the nut off like so. You may need to slightly rotate the rack. And then like so. Start to do it up just finger tight. So we're going to go ahead, get our stabiliser, start to push that on, push it up right up to the Heyman Reese fitting, start to do them up by hand. Then we're going to go ahead, get our Allen key and start to put them up. Now for the final piece of the puzzle, we're going to install our ramp, which is just simple to do using the curve there to lip over the edge of the frame. You'll also notice I've put a towel over the rear window just to stop any damage there, and I've also laid out each of the straps that I'm going to need. Bike's lined up, wish me luck. Just to show you how stable the bike is, as you can see the car is actually wobbling with the frame, so it's pretty secure on there, nice and tight. I've checked it all around, and as you can see the car's moving with the bike, so that's what we want. There we go, that's how easy it is to assemble, mount and put a bike on the motow motorcycle carrier. Some of the things that I love about this carrier is that these are all welded, all the rungs in between are welded. A lot of the cheaper ones you see are actually just all bolted together. Now I didn't want that. I also wanted multiple mounting points like this has, and also the stabiliser in the middle with the wheel chock. They were some of the key elements that really sold the motow rack for me. I hope you found this video really helpful. If you want to find out how I go with the rack, just send me a message, leave me some comments down below. Most importantly, give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel.